and you do not want to miss a moment. 2 Wants to Know starts right now.
My goodness, the 2 Wants to Know shred in Greensboro, it continues. The Pro Shred truck had to make a special stop at WFMY today. Do you see the video of yesterday's lines? You completely filled and overfilled 2 shredding trucks. I knew that you needed the free service of shredding, so 2 Wants to Know planned for double the people from last year. But get this, there were 3 times the numbers of cars and paper, so the shred trucks didn't have any room for the last 100 cars. But 2 Wants to Know, we wanted to make sure that we kept our promise of serving all of the people who came to the shred and to protect your identity for free. So a whole team loaded up a Penske truck, locked it up, then all 2 of me drove back in that big, huge truck, and we parked it behind the gates of WFMY. Now, this afternoon, the shred trucks came here and shredded everything in the truck while we watched. And this is the picture right now of the empty truck. Take a look at what the truck looked like just about a half an hour ago. It was all finished and complete. It was a whole lot of shredding. Just to give you perspective, the 2013 shreds in Winston-Salem and Greensboro last year produced 12 tons of shredded paper. That's 2 days together, and you'll notice we converted the pounds to tons for ease. But yesterday in Greensboro alone, the shred trucks took in 14.5 tons of paper, and we still have to figure in the paper that was shredded today. That is a whole lot of paper. It is a whole lot of people. It is a whole lot of cars. I know the wait was long for many of you. I know the traffic was crazy. We appreciate your patience as 2 Wants to Know continues to work on ways to improve how we serve you and the rest of the community for absolutely free. The best thing that we can do until next year's shred is to educate you. Many of you had paperwork that should have been shredded a long time ago. Here's what you should be keeping, preferably under lock and key. Keep the tax returns themselves, birth and death certificates, estate planning documents and wills. You'll also want to keep military discharge documents, marriage or divorce papers, and Social Security cards. Now here's the list of things that you should be shredding. Pay stubs more than 3 months old, investment statements and credit card statements more than a year old, loan documents for items that you no longer own. You don't need it. Tax return documents more than 3 years old, and old insurance paperwork and any canceled checks. We know this is a whole lot of information, but you can always find it in the 2 Wants to Know section of our website, WFMYnews2.com. All this talk about identity theft has viewers asking questions about personal safety. A Triad woman called us about something that she experienced at Walmart. She said she's asked to enter her Social Security number on the card reader when she cashes a check. She asked, does this make me vulnerable to identity thieves? Yes, that is the answer. Yes, you do. The Attorney General's office says several recent security breaches involved information that was entered on a keypad. Remember Target back in December, Barnes & Noble in 2012? Thieves stole encrypted PIN data from both Target and Barnes & Noble. If those stores had asked for your social, the criminals could have access to it as well. The AG's office says ask the store if you can give something other than your Social Security number. If you can't and still want to make that purchase or get that cash, the Attorney General recommends putting a security freeze on your credit report to protect yourself afterwards. Now, we're waiting to hear back from Walmart to see why they ask for the Social Security number and what kind of processes they have in place to keep your information secure. Whoa, watch again in slow motion. What you are seeing is a driver hitting a cone on a closed course. That happened on a distracted driving course the 2 Wants to Know and Greensboro police set up. We know that calling or texting and driving is certainly a distraction. In fact, just today, High Point Police determined the cause of this crash here that you're looking at was distracted driving. They say Courtney Ann Sanford was texting just before the crash. She died at the scene. Another reminder of the dangers of texting and driving. But a new bill would require the use of hands-free devices in North Carolina. So we wanted to see if those hands-free devices really do make drivers safer. 2 Wants to Know's Ben Briscoe set up that Safety 2 test on a closed course set up by Greensboro Police.
On a closed course set up by Greensboro Police, I tried to drive while talking on the phone.
Well, I mean, but what's the most important thing that you've got to deal with during the day?
Come and interview you, of course. Absolutely. And try not to hit these cones.
Oh, whoa! You've run over a little puppy.
Not a puppy. Really, 2 orange cones.
You had to consciously think about holding that device to your ear as you were talking, as opposed to having 2 hands on the wheel as you were driving.
That's why State Senator Jeff Tart plans to introduce a bill next week requiring hands-free devices to talk in the car. Devices like this one. It lets me hear the call through a speaker. As Officer Price again asked me questions.
You normally work Monday through Friday when you work?
Yeah, unless there's big breaking news. We have a better idea about the safety of hands-free devices.
When you went to the hands-free device, what I did see was the fact being that you had very, very good control of the vehicle. Your hands were in the 10 and 2, 9 and 3 position.
With the hands-free device, every single cone stayed standing. But remember, there were 2 victims when I held the phone up to my ear.
After what you saw today, do you think this thing right here, this hands-free, is really safer?
Well, it obviously would require a little more testing, but from what we've seen just on these few tests today, it helps.
Officer Price says the bill has yet another benefit. It strengthens the current texting while driving ban. Right now, the law's hard to enforce because you could be illegally texting or legally flipping through your contacts to make a call. The hands-free requirement would mean anyone simply holding a phone would be breaking the law.
Well, Ben also tried driving the course while dialing a number, and you can see what happened right now on his Twitter feed. Find him at WatchdogBen. A body discovered on a routine patrol of Blues Lake solved part of the mystery of 2 missing Triad fishermen. Authorities have identified the body found this morning as James Bowensteel, seen here on the right. Bowensteel and Jacob Line disappeared while fishing April the 15th. His body has not been found. Now, this morning, a search boat found Bowensteel's body. The medical examiner identified him through medical records. They listed drowning as the cause of death, and they don't suspect any foul play. Crews will continue to search the lake for Line's body, and the searches are really no simple task. We kind of dug into that this week. We wanted to break down the details on the dive teams involved in these kinds of searches. We talked with Captain Perry Brookshire with the Rockingham County Sheriff's Office dive team. He said their team is voluntary and has been in operation since 1999. Since they are voluntary, there's no line item in the budget for the dive team, but they're funded with federal forfeiture money and Homeland Security grants. Dive teams, they're not cheap. Captain Brookshire said between equipment and training, dive teams cost between $5,000 and $7,000 per team member. And since they can be so expensive, many counties do not have their own dive team. So Rockingham County's dive team, for instance, is frequently called to help counties like Stokes and Forsyth County. Guilford County does have a dive team, and the Greensboro Association of Scuba Professionals helps in cases as well. Let me bring you up to date on a 2 Wants to Know investigation. Last August, we uncovered a loophole in the law that financially rewarded organizations for stalling projects and not using their grant money. The nonprofit Rural Economic Development Center had earned interest off money for 29 economic development projects. Internal documents showed those projects never saw the light of day. Well, now a bill is moving through the state legislature to stop nonprofits from keeping that interest earned off of state grants. The Joint Legislation Program Evaluation Oversight Committee, and that's a mouthful, they voted to unanimously recommend the new bill when the short session starts next week. Let me jog your memory on this next story.
If he didn't have a van to get around, I wouldn't have a son.
If you didn't catch that, that was a dad who just said if Eric Fugent didn't have a wheelchair accessible van to get around, that dad would no longer have his son. That's because Eric was out in his garage working on an engine one morning when he heard a car crash. Eric, who is in a wheelchair, got into his wheelchair accessible van and went looking for the car involved in the crash. It was dark that morning. Search crews could not find Brandon Jeffries, but Eric would not give up. He kept searching and he found Brandon. Brandon's parents say that Eric saved his life and they want to pay it forward, and you can help. The Jeffries made a video and entered Eric into the Heroes contest to win a new wheelchair accessible van. And this is where you come in. All you have to do is go to the website and vote. Voting is free and you can make a huge difference, but you have to vote soon because voting ends May the 9th. We have the link easy for you to access on WFMYnews2.com, so hop online and vote. We'll be sure to update you with the results. Chances are when you travel this summer, you'll be going online to make some sort of reservation. Trying to predict a hotel's pricing pattern can be just downright painful. Is that the lowest rate you're going to get? Will it drop after you reserve the room? Worry no more. Yes, Money Man Matt Granite shared the website Tingo. You reserve the room through their site and they keep up with the rate changes for you. If you book a price drop room and the price drops before you check in, well, the website automatically locks in that lower rate and refunds you the difference. And the refund goes right back on your credit card. Pretty easy. So Matt shared his Tingo knowledge, and we're posting it for you on our website. He's always finding out all sorts of deals, including one that could help keep some dads out of the doghouse if you don't already have a Mom's Day gift. Stay tuned. We're going to share that gift in 60 seconds. Check this out. 2 movie tickets and a $50 restaurant.com gift card, all for $28. That's dinner and a movie. We're sharing this deal right now on Twitter.
And just like that, it's starting to feel more like summer, right? Good to see you out here in the weather garden now. We've got mostly sunny skies. Temperatures across the area are in the low and mid 80s. 82 degrees in Greensboro, 84 degrees for you in Winston-Salem. High Point hanging on to the mid 80s as well, 86 degrees. Burlington 85. Asheboro also checking in with a mostly sunny sky with temperatures in the mid 80s. We were a little bit cooler this morning, but a warm front pushed to the north right through around 2 or 3 o'clock this afternoon, allowing the 80s to really spread across most of the area. Fayetteville actually near 90 degrees. We're at 82 degrees in the Triad. Columbia, South Carolina also at 92 degrees. Right along that frontal boundary, we are finding some scattered cloud cover. As we go through early tomorrow morning, that front will drop back to the south as a backdoor cold front, increasing the cloud cover once again. Here's what it looks like on the national map here with our futurecast. High pressure to the north will push that warm front to the south. Actually, as a cold front, again, we said a backdoor cold front, meaning sort of coming in from the backside there. It does cool temperatures down a little bit through tomorrow afternoon. High temperatures will be in the mid and upper 70s. And then we see the high pressure system out towards the west win out. That pushes the warmth back across the area. So increasing temperatures again through Thursday and Friday, and that's when we see our high temperatures warm into the upper 80s to near 90 degrees. A comfortable night tonight. Low temperatures in the upper 50s under a partly cloudy sky. Tomorrow afternoon, highs will be again a little bit cooler. Upper 70s under a mix of sun and clouds tomorrow afternoon. Upper 80s to near 90 through Thursday and Friday. The weekend we'll see highs in the low 80s with just small chances of scattered showers and thunderstorms. Hey, every week right here on WFMY News 2, Who Wants to Know at 5:30, we answer weather questions for you. We want to hear your weather questions. We'll be looking forward to doing that later on this week. You can ask those questions to me on Twitter using the handle Grant_Gilmore. You can find me at Facebook on Facebook.com/Grant Gilmore, or do it the old-fashioned way. Send me an email, ggilmore@WFMY.com. A lot of good questions through the winter months, but those questions have kind of waned as we got into the more calm season. So any good questions, though, we'd like to hear them. Daniel?
I love that email is old school. We might have to put the phone number and the address also. All right, let's get caught up on some of the top stories of the day. We've got Frank Mickens and Julie Luck making sure that we're caught up on the top headlines of the day.
Well, police charged the city employee who drove that garbage truck that crashed into a daycare last week in Greensboro. Cleveland Williams is charged with failing to yield after stopping. Police say he was not under the influence of any impairing substances when the truck crashed into the child care network. All 145 kids inside the school, they were safe and not hurt. The daycare center reopened yesterday.
The man convicted of shooting and killing UNC student body president 5 years ago will stay behind bars. In 2011, a jury convicted Lawrence Levette he was convicted in the 2008 murder of Eve Carson. He was 17 years old at the time. The U.S. Supreme Court then ruled that offenders under the age of 18 cannot receive life sentences without parole unless mitigating circumstances are considered. So they held a second hearing, and he was again sentenced to life without parole. His attorneys appealed that decision, and today the Court of Appeals said life without parole is the right ruling.
This week, 2 on Snow is focused on first responders and how their jobs affect you, whether it be your safety or your wallet. And today we're looking at state of mind. So Dr. David Gutterman of LeBauer Health is with us. And I think when we think of first responders and we think of all the sadness and the stressful things that they see on an everyday basis, I mean, it's just kind of mind-boggling that they can do that.
It is mind-boggling, and unfortunately we're seeing more and more of these tragedies taking place, and you're seeing first responders that are professionals out there, policemen and firemen, but you also see the everyday person out there sometimes doing heroic things, and it's because this stress response kicks in as soon as there's an emergency that allows them to do these heroic things, putting their emotions aside so they can take care of business.
Well, let's kind of talk about that, because first responders seem to be really good at putting their emotions aside. They see all these things on a daily basis. We don't see those things on a daily basis, but we all have our own kind of trauma things that we deal with. So what can we learn from them?
Well, what we can learn is that these automatic responses that kick in are effective and important to have, but most importantly, we need to know when to shut them off and how to shut them off. What these professionals have in place is the ability often to go into these horrific situations, deal with what they have to deal with, and then are able to shift back into normal mode. What happens for those of us who are lay people is we often don't shift back into normal mode and stay numb.
How can we do that?
Well, I think, first of all, just being aware of what's going on. In general, you get the signals from the people around you, let you know that something is off if you haven't really transitioned back after experiencing some kind of trauma. And I think it's important to recognize that if you're starting to have symptoms or people are recognizing symptoms, there's help out there, and there are things you can do to take care of that.
And most of the time when something major happens, a huge trauma thing where there's lots of police or firefighters, they are all kind of like together and they get to talk about it and they have that shared experience, and we need to be able to do that too in our own daily lives.
Absolutely, it's very true, Tanya, because what happens is most of these professionals, they have groups, they have ways of talking with each other and you know, processing what has happened to them. We can do that ourselves with our family, our friends. You're never alone. There's always someone out there who has experienced what you've experienced.
Okay. Now, Dr. Gutterman is with LeBauer Healthcare, and we've linked you to their webpage because they have a questionnaire and resources to help you know when emotional distress gets to the point that you should be talking to someone. Find it in the 2 Wants to Know section. Mother's Day, of course, this weekend. Chances are you're thinking flowers. If you don't deliver them yourself, you're kind of at the mercy of the online retailer. Consumer Reports puts 2 popular flower companies to the test. The National Retail Federation estimates that Americans spend almost $2 billion, that's with a B, on flowers this time of year. You know the reason, right? Yes, Mom. Do you go to the florist for Mom? Do you order online? How can you be sure what you see online is what Mom will get at her door? Consumer Reports places a couple of orders to find out.
Mother's Day arrives once a year, often with an armload of flowers. But when you order online, all you have to go by is a photo. Consumer Reports set out to find out, is what you see what you'll get? Testers ordered 8 arrangements from 2 major florists, FTD and 1-800-Flowers. The flowers, mixed bouquets and roses, were in the $50 to $60 range. Photographers took pictures, and over 100 staffers assessed the photos and rated how happy they'd be to receive the flowers. Most of the appraisers were happy when shown only the photos of the delivered flowers. But when they compared the online photos with what came, they were disappointed. For example, the 1-800-Flowers site featured this bright mixed rose bouquet, but the roses that arrived were much different colors. This elegant bouquet sold on the FTD website came as a hodgepodge of different flowers and colors. On the web, this 1-800-Flowers arrangement is described as crafted and compact, but the real thing was colorful but less composed.
The online arrangements are shot under the best circumstances, professionally styled, using the freshest flowers. And let's face it, the flowers you get are subject to availability.
The good news? Your mother probably won't be comparing what you sent her to what's online. She'll just be happy you thought of her.
So how do you make those flowers last? Consumer Reports says to keep the flowers in a cool spot and use those little packets of preservatives that come with the flowers. Who knew? Consumer Reports say they really do work. If you're looking for a Mother's Day gift other than flowers, why not buy Mom a new outfit? No, I know. Men may be thinking, I don't even want to go there to start. But flowy skirts are in this summer, and Consumer Reports has some ideas on how you can pick one that flatters any figure. We share the secrets in 60 seconds. Consumer Reports says look for a flowy skirt with light, solid colors and lightweight fabrics, but avoid anything too full or too long.
Greensboro.
Of course, today is primary election day. Polls close at 7:30 tonight, so you do have about 90 minutes to get out and vote. As long as you're in line by 7:30, you should be able to cast your ballot. Some interesting races include challengers for Howard Coble and Renee Elmer's House seats, competition for Kay Hagan's Senate seat. Of course, once results start coming in, we will be bringing them to you on air at the bottom of your screen, online as well on WFMYnews2.com. Thanks for joining us for 2 Wants to Know at 5:30. WFMY News 2 at 6 starts